make me itch. You burn my skin. Still you I want to hold. You're so sick, you make me itch. I toss and I'm tired and my fingers twitch. The thought of you, it burns my skin to the bone. And still you I want to hold. Take it back, too much to unpack. The hate in your head and heart that you lack. The thought of you, it burns my skin to the bone. And I can't leave you alone. You're so sick, you're selfish, it's endless. Still you I want to hold. I miss how we used to be weightless. And I can't leave you alone.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Touchline Talk. There's a little game happening tomorrow. Just a little baby one in the Champions League. There will be a full tactical preview of it later on the channel, dropping a few hours after the stream, so stay tuned for that, of course. But it would be foolish for us to not discuss it today. Because there's many developing things that are happening at Real Madrid in respect of like the players that are going to be available, and it perhaps represents a really good opportunity for City to get a win in a match where I don't think many of us would have earmarked a win for City at the start of the proceedings. We probably would have said, well, if we can go there and get a point, that would be really nice. Should that rather be our target now, given the revelations that have been taking place, given Real Madrid's turn of fortune and our run of relatively good form as well? Should we actually be aiming a little bit higher? Who knows? That's what we're going to be talking about today. And of course, a lot more. We can perhaps chat about a little bit about the Sunderland win, the fallout from that. And I think this is just going to be more chilled out stream rather than I think like the past couple I've had like a set thing of, okay, I want to talk about this for X amount of time. This is going to be a bit more laid back, this show. It's going to be far more vibes in the Q&A situation. So if that sounds good to you, make sure to stick around, leave a like on the video. It's free and it helps support the channel. But how are we doing today, everybody? We got Nintendo says we're going to be eating good. Stick says 1. Doku going to turn to Prime Dino. Hello Saeed, no Mbappe. Yeah, loads of players missing out. I'll get over to those in a moment. Allegedly. Locus says, I wonder if Shirky starts. That's one of the big questions, isn't it? Absolutely. Hello, Yash. Hello, Yanko. Hello, Naveen. Noosa. Eden, one of my beautiful members. How are you, sir? Phoenix says the Mbappe news might be false. Hello, unofficial Martin. Hello, Yepins. I'm so much more excited for City games now, knowing I get to watch Shirky. We've got Fenton as well. Mbappe not training, it could be a strategic move. Absolutely, it perhaps could. Welcome as always to Touchline Talk at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. You guys know the drill by now. We are always live at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday for a Touchline Talk. There's lots of teas going on there. Now, I put out a tweet, and I've used this mainly also as a reference for myself. So there are lots of players who are either confirmed as being out or have question marks about being out. Let's first of all cover the players who are like definitely out. And this was like confirmed before the other day, I believe. Basically after the Celta Vigo game where Militao went off injured. So there is confirmed there is definitely not going to be any actual right back for Real Madrid because both Trent and Carvajal are both out for the foreseeable future. The Trent one especially is massive. Of course, we can, have fun and joke about his lack of defensive capabilities, and that's absolutely a correct thing to say. But we also can't overlook the offensive presence that he provides to whichever side he's playing for. Like, in fact, if you watch like their game against Bilbao, he was one of the main reasons why Mbappe was able to be unleashed in that match via his quarterback rolls from deep and just playing it through to Mbappe, who was able to run in behind. So that's a big, massive miss for Madrid, even though it would have been fun for him to play because it would have been Doku up against Trent again. But that can't be understated how important that miss is for them. Carvajal's also out. So as for right backs, it's probably going to be Valverde, you would suggest, maybe Asensio, but based on all the other defensive injuries that they have, it seems perhaps a bit more likely that it's going to be Valverde back out at right back, even though he hasn't been playing there for the past couple of games. It's, as I say, it's been Trent, Carvajal, Asensio, but I think given all the other defensive injuries that they have, I wonder if Valverde will be moved backwards back to right back. Mendy's out, so a left back, of course. Alaba, relatively versatile defender, he's also out. Howson, centre-back, he's also out. Militao, he is also definitely out. So all of those players are confirmed as definitely not playing. And all of those players I've just named, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those are all in the defensive line as well. So it's probably going to be, well, it's going to have to be Rudiger playing at centre-back. And he's only just come back from injury also. I think he came back from injury 2 or 3 weeks ago, something like that. So he will be fine to start. But you would have, but given the additional injury of Militao, I think that's maybe the key one, because before then you could have had Rudiger, Militao, and that's a very good centre half pairing. And then Asensio out at right back, Carreras left back if he so desired. But given the additional injury to Militao, it may well be it's going to have to be a centre back pairing of Rudiger and Asensio. I suppose it could be Rudiger, Carreras, like they played against Celta Vigo. Just seems a little bit unlikely to me. So far the back four, of course, Courtois in goal. So the back four you'd guess would be Valverde, Rudiger, Asensio, and then Carreras as the left back, because there is no Mendy, there is no Alaba. They're very limited on options, and I don't know if I've missed any defenders there. I don't think I have that would potentially be able to play, because you may say, well, Tchouaméni could play, but as we'll get into, they are also light in the midfield as well. So it's not even like they can do the old trick of, well, just play a midfielder in at centre-back instead, because they played Tchouaméni against a centre-back against us, I'm pretty sure, one time, didn't they? But it's unlikely whether they're going to be able to do that. I'm just having a look at their squad, seeing if there's any defender that I've missed out there. Oh, Garcia, in fairness. It could be Garcia at left-back instead. Perhaps seems unlikely, though. It would make more sense, surely, for it to be Valverde and Carreras as your fullbacks, Rudiger, Asensio as your centre-backs. Like that way you actually have a player who you know can play at right-back at Valverde. You've got an actual left-back at left-back. You've got actual centre-backs at centre-backs. But it could well be Garcia at left-back and like Carreras, left centre-back, and Rudiger, right centre-back. But perhaps. That's maybe a little bit unlikely. And it was Carreras at the weekend, wasn't it? Yes, absolutely. That could be a thing. So there's sort of avenue for movements there. But either way, this is not an inspired back line for Real Madrid. It's not inspired at all. There are lots of weaknesses there. Like, so if it is Garcia and Carreras at left back and left centre back, can you even fathom the far post opportunities for Haaland from Nico O'Reilly's left-footed crosses? Can you even fathom that? So Doku occupying Valverde, and then bam, Nico O'Reilly makes an overlap, cross to the far post for Haaland. That would be a good time, hopefully, if that were the case. So there's clearly not an optimal back line for Real Madrid, however you cut it. It's going to be very challenging for them. And then you add to that the fact that Camavinga is confirmed as not even playing. So this Camavinga is absent from Real Madrid training, and I'm sure I saw something earlier which confirmed that he's suffered like a small fracture in his foot, something like that. So he's definitely been confirmed as being out. I think that was Fabrice Hawkins. There it is, yeah. Camavinga not fit for Real Madrid game versus City. The French Fabrice Hawkins. So that is big as well. Because Camavinga, I don't think it was last season, but perhaps the season before, I felt Camavinga was their best player over those 2 legs against us. Like, he was fantastic in the tie. So for him to miss out is also massive. And once again, it really limits what options they can have. Of course, Tchouaméni is going to play. It may well be what they did against Celta Vigo, where they had essentially a double pivot of Gula and Tchouaméni. Didn't really work because Gula is not that sort of midfielder at all. He's far more offensive minded. I suppose they could like bring back Ceballos into the side, maybe. So there's an opportunity for them to play a far more robust midfield. But the point I'm trying to make is that they are very limited on personnel and options. Those are the guaranteed players. There's a question mark about Mbappe. There's a question mark. That may well just be mind games. That's not actually confirmed. He's apparently got some discomfort in his leg or knee, whatever it is. And Jack Gorn reported that he wasn't in training today. Maybe that's just mind games. Maybe there's more to it than meets the eye. He's a question mark, isn't he? And if he can't play, of course, that's a big positive for City also, because we know that basically what this is all leading to really is there's surely no way that Madrid are going to be able to even remotely attempt to dominate this game on ball. That isn't necessarily a problem for them, however, because they have very dangerous counter-attacking threats in Vinicius and Mbappe, if indeed he does actually play, and Bellingham also. So one could argue that actually is in their favour to actually play more so on the counter-attack. And we know that City's weakness, or rather one of our weaknesses this season, has been on the counter-attack, and it has been when we are trying to counter-press or just press generally. So one may argue, I think Spartacus has just alluded to it there, that if even if they do have like these injuries, and Mbappe is another one who's been getting a lot of slack, he's been getting a lot of criticism this season, not as an individual, but more so as what is the net impact on the side. People have labelled Vinicius and Mbappe as a team carrying two passengers, and that is not viable. And there's that infamous clip of Enrique when he was at PSG doing the rounds saying that Mbappe's got to press, and etc. etc. So it is going to depend what Madrid side turn up. If it's the one that played against Celta Vigo, and they were shit against Celta Vigo, by the way, like they low-key outplayed them. So, and I think that we've touched on this before, but like we've touched on it in passing, but never really outright. So if you do have, in fact, shall I go to my tactics board? Shall we go to the tactics boards? Once again, this will be in a little bit more detail in the analysis video later today, so this is going to be a quick overview of that. So this is not going to be the team. This is just what they played most recently against Celta Vigo. It can't be Militao because he went off injured, whatever. But what's funny is that and this is also why it's like nearly impossible to try to predict how Madrid are going to play tomorrow, because you could have watched every single game of Real Madrid this season, and in preparation for my preview, I have watched a fair few, but it's also important to note that Alonso keeps changing how Madrid set up, and part of that is informed by personnel. Like he's tried a back three at times, he has tried just a normal forward three at times. He's got reverted back to what they were doing last season and the season prior, where they just have a standard 4-4-2 and a diamond when they're on ball. This is also why it's really, really hard to anticipate how they're going to set up, because it may well be something entirely different. So precedent may not even be that helpful. But what I was going to say is that balance is something that, and this is maybe more relevant to Madrid's season-long targets, but what this Madrid side does not have is balance. And that's with everyone fully fit. BT dubs. Because what tends to happen, so let's say that they play this 4-4-2, which is what they did most recently against Bilbao and Celta Vigo, I believe. What would happen is you got the fullbacks pushing up, obviously, and then these two stay as your forwards too. Gula was at the top, the base. Bellingham, because Valverde was right midfield, Bellingham left midfield. So you've got in more settled build, well, actually more settled build up, you had Tchouaméni dropping into form a back three. But generally speaking, you're looking at either like a traditional 4-4-2 diamond, depending on the availability of the fullbacks, which then often shifted into a 3-5-2 4-3-5-2, depending on the positioning of the fullbacks and Tchouaméni. But once like Madrid gets settled, it turns into more something like that. Tchouaméni at the Tchouaméni at the base of the diamond, Bellingham, Valverde, pivot points, Gula at the tip of it, and then Vinicius and Mbappe spearheading it. But one of the problems with the personnel of this side is that when it gets to the attacking areas of the play, Bellingham is a midfielder who isn't necessarily like he doesn't want to play as like a central midfielder. We know that now. Like he wants to play far closer to the box. He's also got a bias to go over here to like the really far left half space, right? Vinicius is like technically a left winger, but he's being played as a striker, and he's also not necessarily a player who wants to exclusively be holding the width out here, is he? So he also sort of wants to get into this position nearish to Bellingham. And then you've got Mbappe, who isn't a number 9. He's a left winger. And he, like, naturally wants to also pick up areas around here. So it always leads to this funny situation where you watch a lot of Madrid games this season, and, like, this part of the pitch is just absent, where you would be expecting, like, a striker to be, like Haaland, essentially. Big up to Punctured Bicycle. He's been a long-time viewer of the channel. He's made the step up. He's been promoted to Nabinho Ultra. We love that from you. Thank you so much, Punctured Bicycle. Love your Fry profile picture. Shout out to you, mate, for becoming a Nabinho Ultra. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the Ultras Club, sorry. And yesterday I uploaded a members-only Semenyo scout reports and data analysis video. It's about 30 minutes long. There's exclusive paid content. There's exclusive data there. There's publicly accessible data. There's match footage, and I review it on the fly with you guys and provide my thoughts. So go enjoy that video after this video, Punch Your Bicycle. And if you want to support the channel, if you want to get access to exclusive content like that, then click that link that the Nobbot has just provided for you. Your random footballer is Mascherano. Punch Your Bicycle in his Liverpool kit. There we go. Mascherano. I don't know why I pronounce it like that. Mascherano. There we go. This now, what's interesting is that I don't know how much of what I've just said there is actually going to be relevant for City, because I do think that City are going to have the majority of the possession tomorrow, and I do think that the key for Madrid is just going to be trying to hit us on the counter-attack. So even if all of these players do play, we may not necessarily even encounter this problem, because it's far less likely to materialise when there's a counter-attack going on. It's just more so when a team actually defends and settles against Madrid. This is when the issue normally appears. This is just something funny to note. It's like if you haven't watched a lot of Madrid this season, or indeed last season either, don't forget they didn't actually win anything of note last season either, despite Mbappe coming into the side. It's just something to note that this isn't a particularly well-balanced side, even if they had all of the players available. Shut up, Spartacus. So I just thought that was interesting. If Mbappe isn't available, and indeed that's what Jack Gorn has suggested, then is it just going to be like maybe like a straight swap for Rodrigo for Mbappe? Perhaps that would be the most obvious thing to do, but they surely can't play Gula in the pivot with Tchouaméni. That would be a madness, wouldn't it? Maybe they swap the role of Gula and Bellingham. So maybe you got Bellingham at the... No, that wouldn't make much sense though, would it? You have to play Gula left wing. That's not ideal, is it? I'm not sure. They'll find a way. They always find a way, don't they, to be annoying. So we shall see. The thing about Rodrigo to note is that this man has not scored a goal for Madrid since March. So it would be classic if the first goal he scores of the season for Madrid, and the first time he scores a goal since March, is of course going to be against us. So that would be quite funny. That's what I mean, Spartacus. Yeah, they played that against Celta Vigo. But I'm thinking, but it didn't work. Like, Gula looked lost. So I'm thinking, you surely can't do that again, can you? It didn't work. And you surely, like, because if they do this, so pretend that Militao is Rudiger or whatever. Yeah. I think, and maybe Mbappe's like Rodrigo, whatever. This is just for sake of argument. I think Gula was right central midfield. My brain can't even remember now. I think that's what it was. Because if you have this situation, if that's your pivot, because once again, Gula did not know where he was going. Like, so Tchouaméni had to cover an obscene amount of grass, and he was always being forced into impossible situations where he was 2v1 in the centre, because all Celta Vigo had to do was like pop another couple of players in. Maybe he was lost because it was the first time. The second time is usually better than the first. Sparkus, why does that sound like a euphemism, mate? Why does that sound like a euphemism? So if it is that, then this looks like a very nice area for City to just really easily overload in the centre. So I would love it if it were that, because that should make it quite a nice time for City. Because if we do end up just playing, I'm not saying it's going to be this, but for argument's sake, let's say that we did play what we did against Sunderland, and we do our normal thing. So it was like that, and then where's Foden? Oh, I removed the wrong player. There we go. And then you got that vibe going on. Yeah. This makes it very easy for us to just outnumber their central pairing quite easily. You can even push up Foden into that as well. So it can be like a 3-on-2 or a 4-on-2. Can we load on Calvin Phillips? He fixed their issues. So, they're in a tricky situation. Once again, they are in a tricky situation. Does all of this become moot when we consider that all Real Madrid are going to probably want to do is try to hit us on the counter-attack? Because we need this win more than they do, because they are higher in the table than us. So they don't need to like win this game. From a points perspective, you could argue that they need the win because from a Xabi Alonso POV. But as for their fixtures, who else do they have in the Champions League? They have Monaco at home and then Benfica away. So those are their final two games. So they're probably going to win those games, so in which case they would end on 18 points even if they lost tomorrow. So if they draw tomorrow and then like win one of their games, they're still very likely to get top 8 anyway. So of course we can say Madrid are at home, etc, etc. But Madrid don't actually have to win it. It's a very good point, Fenway, yes. I'm just talking about from the table POV, because once again, Alonso is under pressure, blah, 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 blah. But they should be beating Monaco at home, and they should be beating Benfica away. So 7 points from their last 3 games, and remember, they are 2 points ahead of us in the table, is more than enough for them to get into the top 8. So it's not a problem for them. So this isn't necessary, and this is why I keep saying that I think it's likely what we're going to see tomorrow is a more defensive Real Madrid. Maybe the one from like a couple seasons ago. I know that was at the Etihad, but still. Where they are happy to just chill, maybe use Bellingham as an outlet. We know they have lots of pace and carrying power through players like Tchouaméni and Bellingham and Mbappe and Vinicius and Rodrigo, if a combination of however many of those start or do not start. Mbappe may be on the bench or maybe even not able to play at all. So I don't think it's going to be that straightforward. Brilliant. Vinicius is throwing the game, so Alonso gets sacked.
Vinicius is throwing the game, so Alonso gets sacked.
Thanks, mate. If I have to cut that out because of copyright musty, then I'm not going to be very happy. Yeah, so that's the state of play with Madrid and their setup. It's a thing. It is a thing. I texted you about that one as well, mate. Go back. Don't make me bring up the DMs. I literally said it's the Rafa Many Men one. That's the one that gets copyrighted. You did know. I texted you, you little pedant. Yeah. Anti-pedant, actually. Not good enough, Musty. You're getting banned. It's all right, mate. I'll deal with it. It's not a problem. It's my fault for not removing it. Madrid and Liverpool just need to swap managers and get it over with. Jude's been dropping stinkers this season since he came back. The final two opponents for Madrid are actually harder ones. Monaco home and Benfica away. Chill. Do the red cards go? No. Carrera's getting red carded is irrelevant. I think I saw someone say that Carreras isn't available. I think it was Madrid zone, but that's unless there's like an extra injury that's happened, the suspension is meaningless for that. It is meaningless for that. What tactics should we use to counter the ref having an absolute shocker against us? Not too fussy if we don't win this game as long as we beat Gala and Boda Glimt. It's not a must win, says Sachin. I don't think this is a must win. However, this seems like a pretty fantastic opportunity for City to win at the Bernabeu. When have we ever had a situation like this where an entire back line has been decimated and perhaps a main offensive threat is also not going to be available? It's not a must win because you can draw, win, and you almost still definitely, well, certainly based on the points last season, you still will get into the top 8. So if we draw tomorrow, indeed, Musty. So if we draw tomorrow, it's not the end of the world. That's why it's not a must. That's why it can't be a must win. Now, of course, that does put more pressure on the other games, but to say this is a must win, I don't think is reasonable, even if they have all of the injuries. It's a game we should be looking to win. That's not the same as saying that we should be aiming for a draw, by the way. I still think that we should be going to Madrid and trying to win because I think we have a great chance to do it. But I don't think that it's going to be disastrous. Oh my god! Because a must. If you fail to win a must win, that means that it's detrimental to your chances, doesn't it? A draw isn't detrimental. Not winning against Galatasaray would be detrimental, and not winning at Boda Glimt would be detrimental because they would be the final 2 games also. But I don't think this one is. I think that's right, Ken Boy. Yeah, go for the win. Do your best to win, of course. But losing would be far more damaging than winning would be positive. If that makes any sort of sense. And I think it does, in fairness. I want us to win. I'm going to predict us to win. But it's not the end of the world if we do not ultimately win. Okay. So with all that in mind, and I'll repeat because people are still asking in the chat, like, when's the tactical preview coming out? It will come out later today. Don't you worry. I'm a man of my words. I've been doing very good with the uploads this season. Have you noticed that for every Premier League game, we've been getting a preview, a post-match analysis, and a short for every single game? If I say it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Don't worry about it. I can't promise there'll be a short because I don't know if I'm going to be interested enough to do it, but there will be a preview. I also not going to guarantee there'll be a post-match analysis. I'll see how interested I am because it's only a Champions League group stage game, but there will be a preview. I've said there will be. Don't worry about it. Patience comes to those who wait. But with that said, how do we suppose that City will be setting up tomorrow? There will be a watch-along also. Reminders, this is the lineup that City played against Sunderland. This is also very similar to the lineup that started against Fulham. Musty, this guy. What's the difference between this side and the Fulham side? Reinders played, didn't he, instead of Shirky? Was that the only change? Is that the only change? Was every other player the same? Let me have a little look. I think that might be correct. Fulham. Who's played against Fulham? Yeah, so it was, Reinders. Yeah, so the only change was Reinders against Fulham. For Leeds, was it the same side? it was the same side against Leeds as well. And of course, massive changes against Leverkusen. So if we're saying it's this side, outside of Reinders for Shirky, this is going to be the same starting 11 4 games in a row, basically. And then we play Crystal Palace away, and you would like that to be a very strong side as well. In an ideal world, there would be an avenue for some degree of rotation, even if it's just 1 or 2 players. Because I'd like us to play this team against Palace away, in all honesty. I think that would be our best chance of beating Palace. But then that would be 5 games in a row, and that seems a little bit unreasonable. I know it's not the exact same side, but basically it's just Reinders coming in. You know, are we going to have 10 out of these 11 players all starting 5 games in a row? I just don't know if that is a reasonable call. The problem is that Pep doesn't seem too convinced by his bench. Hence why we're seeing so many consistent starting 11s. So I don't know what that actually translates to as for the game tomorrow, because we do still have to play a very strong side. I wonder if we'll make a change. Even if it's just 1, I wonder if we will. I don't think the back line's going to change. I think that would be mad to change the defense. I don't know why. Obviously, the goalkeeper's not changing. I've no idea why you'd change any of the individual defenders. You can't not start Gvardiol. I think you have to play O'Reilly because of how good he's been performing and how Stones is out for like the unforeseeable. Yeah, you have to start O'Reilly because he's been fantastic defensively and going forwards. Núñez has had his moments. If you want to play Shirky, Núñez is a must. But I also just think that Núñez has been good this season generally. Ake's not started, yeah, exactly. And Diaz has likewise been really, really good. So I don't see any of the defense changing. The only shout that I'm seeing, like I saw lots of people suggesting it on LNobbins yesterday, but Kusanov coming in. Kusanov's not played since Leverkusen, where he was fine. And then the game before that, he was bad against Swansea. And then the game before that was when he got injured against Arsenal. So he hasn't played since late November. Is Real Madrid away the game you bring him in? I'd suspect not, personally. So I'd be very surprised if Kusanov did start based on his lack of playing time so far, and also based on how important Núñez is to the structure. If we're talking about him playing at right back anyway, because, and I wonder if this was something that Pep was experimenting with, because we saw at the start of the Sunderland game, it wasn't what we thought it was, well, certainly wasn't what I thought it was going to be, where Núñez pushed up to the wings immediately. It was actually Bernardo and Shirky rotated, and City formed a back 3, rather than a back 2. I wonder if he was trialling that. Well, it's not trialing because he's done it before this season. But I wonder if he was like, going back to that as an almost trial, even though it's not a trial because he's done it before, for the Real Madrid game. I wonder. In which case, if you do want to play like a back 3, Kusanov could work here, absolutely, because you could just have that situation, and you can say, well, there's no problem because the right centre-back isn't a right winger, so it's fine to have Kusanov there. The problem that introduces, though, is that you are now limited on tactical flexibility, because we saw, and the Sunderland game's a perfect illustration of that, we saw that when it was pretty evident that City didn't need a back 3, given how deep Sunderland were, we just pushed Núñez up even further and played him as a right winger at times, or as an advanced midfield, right-sided defender, and then we just went to a normal back two. Now, if you have Kusanov here, okay, you can technically say, well, pop him in the same position, but he's offering dick all offensively compared to compared to Nunes there, sorry. So I really don't like the idea of Kusanov playing it right back over Nunes, because Nunes provides far more flexibility. As for shape, he can play as the right centre-back in a back three, but he can also advance if you want to go into a back two and either provide an underlapping or overlapping threat and crossing threat that Kusanov, the centre-back, isn't going to offer. I need to repeat myself, though, because I know lots of people like Kusanov, and I do as well. So unfortunately, our fan base massively overrates him, which is a shame, because he's not just allowed to develop how he should be doing. It's like Echeverry all over again, I fear. He is good. He is a good player, and I like him a lot, but he is not the player that a lot of you think he is, unfortunately, and nor should he be expected to be that player, nor should he be expected to be this bombarding, overlapping, underlapping right-back option able to do that. So I really don't want to see Kusanov certainly at right-back for this game. If you are going to play him, then yeah, absolutely. Play him at centre-back. That's his position. He's a centre-back. Not a problem for me, but you ain't dropping Yoshko, because he's left-footed, and you ain't dropping Ruben Diaz, who has been fantastic this season. So that's the problem, isn't it? That is the problem, because it would be weird to drop Diaz, who has been fantastic this season. I know that he made the silly error against Sunderland, but I think that's maybe his first error all season, unless there's an obvious one I'm forgetting about, and perhaps I am. But generally speaking, Diaz has been wonderful, and he's been a rock, and he is still our best box defender. And I don't think this is the game to introduce Kusanov. And if it is the game to introduce him and he plays well, then absolutely fair play, wonderful work. I don't know how wise it is to start him, given his last start was against Leverkusen, and the game before that was a bad game against Swansea. So he's still getting back up to... he needs more consistent minutes, I think, in lesser games before then. And he can start against Brentford, for example, and then the game after that is West Ham at home. So maybe he can play 2 games in a row there and actually get like a little run of games going on. But I really don't want Kusanov to start. If he does start tomorrow, I'm not going to cry. It's not the end of the world. I'll just be a bit confused. That's all. Nico has to play midfield because he's Nico, and Rodri's still not available, which is sad. There's no doubt that Doku must play. Like he has to start. He is Doku. Yeah, I don't really know what else there is to say about that. And here's the thing as well, because if you can this is something that Celta Vigo did. They played with wing backs. So if you have O'Reilly out here, pinning Asensio or Valverde, whoever it may be, and I know we said it earlier, pretend this is Rudiger, all of a sudden, you got Doku 1v1 against Rudiger, in the same way that we got Doku 1v1 against Canate, and there was only ever going to be one winner in that matchup. So whether it's Doku up against his fullback, who isn't a fullback, or whether it's Doku up against Rudiger, who's only just himself coming back from injury. I know Rudiger is a very solid defender. I would back Doku to win that encounter every single time. So that's a really nice thing as well. So I think Doku has to start, surely. We know that Haaland's going to be a thing. Of course he is. Foden has to play because he's Foden. I think that if there is an area for any players not starting this game where they have started before, it's going to be one or both of these two, if indeed there are any changes at all. I don't know. In an ideal world, you'd just play Rodri, Nico, Bernardo, wouldn't you? And it would be a lovely time. Can you afford to not play Bernardo? I feel like you probably can't. Because what are the other options? It's not going to be Lewis. The only other option would be Reinders, and he has been struggling in that facet of his game. So I don't know how Bernardo doesn't start, in all honesty. Because otherwise, again, the only replacement you'd say is Reinders, and who's been more solid off ball this season. Because I think that's where this game will be won and lost for City. I think that it'll be fine with us. I think we'll score 1 or 2 goals. I don't think we'll have an offensive problem. I do think there might be a counter-attacking problem. And is Reinders going to offer a better? Is Reinders going to offer more in that sense than Bernardo? Is my question, and I don't know if he would, because too often this season he has been weak in those moments. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm convinced. I'd predict Bernardo to play. Sorry, to not play. So I think that it will be Bernardo starting. This is where I'm not sure. Now, don't get me wrong, you guys know I'm a big fan of Shirky. Big up to him. You know that I want him to be a starter in this City side. You know that I still think that the best version of the City side is one that has Shirky in it. Is this a step too far, however, given that it is at Real Madrid, and given the potential? You remember all that left-sided threat I spoke about earlier with Vinicius and Bellingham and Mbappe, if Mbappe is able to play. Is this a game where he starts? And I don't know if it is a game where he starts. Whether I want it is meaningless. I think it might be. I'm really tempted to predict Savio to start. And that might be way off the mark. But there's something in my gut. Something in my gut is telling me that Savio starts. On the right. And I wonder if that's because if you play Nunes as a right centre-back outright, I'm not saying we're going to do this, but let's say that we do that as a more reserved rest defence from City, a back 3 rather than a back 2. And I repeat, he started this against Sunderland. All of a sudden, you have like no real right-sided presence. Even if we swap Bernardo and Shirky as we did, City didn't really do anything on the right against Sunderland until Nunes started to actually provide offensive work, and then you lose that back 3. So if the idea is to preserve the back 3 for large portions of the game because you're concerned about the counterattacks, you want more bodies in your back line, then it wouldn't make sense to have one of Bernardo or Shirky right wing, because neither of them can play exclusively at right wing. They need an overlapping option. Or in Bernardo's case, more so an underlapping one, could argue, but still, you see my point. In which case, if the idea is for Nunes to be further back, a more cautious back line, then the only answer that does make sense is Savio. If anything, Fenway, I would argue it's a better comparison because he was able to do that. No, rather, he was concerned enough to do that against the Sunderland side who weren't going to pose too much of a threat, compared to Real Madrid, who are going to pose much more of a threat. So I'd actually argue it's the reverse. If he was willing to do it against Sunderland, he's surely even more willing to do it against Madrid. That's the way I'm looking at it. So this now would provide, again, if this is the role of Nunes, this now provides an actual right-sided outlet for City. It also does provide more solidity off ball also. I wonder. I'm interested. I don't know. Because it's not going to be a natural left back for them either, is it? Oh no, it could be Carreras, couldn't it? Oh no, never mind. No, scrap that. It probably will just be a normal left back for them. But either way, their fullbacks are stretched. So I wonder. I'm not settled. I need to think about this. I'm not settled about this. But I might be tempted to predict this as City starting 11 tomorrow. I would not want to move Doku from his best position, and I don't think this is a game to start Marmouche. That's the key as well. That's the key thing. What City cannot do is turn this game into a basketball game. This cannot be Fulham. This has to be Sunderland. And maybe that contradicts what I was saying, because in that case, I should be probably more likely to start Shirky, but I'm still finding other avenues also. But the approach either way should be, he has to start, doesn't he, Fenway? This has to be the approach against Sunderland. If we turn this into a direct transitional basketball game, then we are going to lose. Because that's what Madrid would want. Madrid would want us to make this pinball football and back and forth football, because they're going to win that battle. That's going to make their injury situation far less relevant. Whereas, the title of the stream is the war of attrition, yes. If you just wear them down and move them from side to side and pin them back and control the play, you are going to massively dent their offensive capabilities. So that's what we have to ensure we do. We can't be impatient. We can't be impatient. And we have to chill. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Fenway. Can I clarify the Sunderland point? Are you suggesting Pep's original less aggressive tactic or the adjusted tactic? No, so I was saying that Pep was willing to be cautious against Sunderland of all teams by playing Núñez in the back three to start things off with. So I'm saying that it's more likely that Núñez is also going to be playing in a back three, given that cautious approach. So I would suggest that you'd want to be more cautious against Real Madrid. So in which case you would want Núñez more so in the back three, which would lend itself to wanting Savio as a forward option. That was my brain thought. Yes, Fenway. Yes. Sorry if I didn't. Sorry if I didn't say that very well. But yes, that was my thinking. And you can always change it if you need to. Like if you really, for whatever, I don't know, if you're a goal down, let's say, and you need to push for the win, you can push up Núñez. You can push Núñez up to be more attacking, whereas you can't be doing that with Kusanov as your right back option necessarily. So the options are still there also. But that's what I'm going to predict. There's also the point of, again, this is partly a gut instinct. There is some tactical sense to what my prediction is here, but it's partly based on gut, but it's also based on like what Pep said. Like he said, Savio is going to play a lot of minutes this season, and I think he also commented on how he wasn't happy with one of the games where he didn't track back in one game, but then he was really happy when he tracked back against Sunderland. And that is what we need. That is what we're going to need against Madrid. That seemed like quite a timely comment. So I do wonder if that's going to be a thing. Not sure. Haven't decided yet. I need to think about it a bit more. But I'm leaning to that being the side that I'm going to predict City to do. There's not a lot of rotation, unfortunately, and even like taking out Shirky isn't that good, because it's still the majority of those players will have played 4 games in a row, which isn't ideal. There's very little opportunity to rest there. Goodness me. There is very little opportunity to rest. But it's a thing. I was just having a look at the Sunderland game to see who went off earliest, and it was Foden and Haaland who went off earliest, which makes a lot of sense. Sorry, and Gvardiol also. Yeah, those three are non... It's not even a conversation that they are going to start. They are obviously going to start. Yeah. Tricky. It's tricky to predict, tricky to call. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. Yeah, Militao is injured, we know, yes. Good afternoon, Isaac, how are you? Mate, the lineup that we had last time was so horror. It was so horror. Where is it? Oh my God. So, last year at the Bernabeu, Edison in goal. This was our back four. Kusanov right back. Jesus. Stones, Diaz, Gvardiol. So Gvardiol left back. Stones played 8 powerful minutes. Crazy. We had Bernardo, Gundogan, Nico, Foden, and then up top Marmoush, Savio. And I'm pretty sure, if memory serves, I'm pretty convinced that the on-ball structure that day was we had like Savio false 9, Marmoush playing like a second striker off him. We had Foden, who was supposed to be playing right central midfield, but Kusanov wasn't pushing up because he's a centre-back. So it meant that Foden was the right winger and the right central midfielder. So it was like doomed to fail. And yeah, it was just horror. It was just that there's nothing going on with that team. So really, either our widest players that day were Kusanov, Bernardo, or Kusanov, Gvardiol. Like, that's stupid, isn't it? So how many of those players are going to start? Realistically, well, Edison isn't, obviously. Kusanov isn't. Stones isn't. Gundogan isn't. Marmoush probably isn't. So, and maybe Savio as well. So, you'd say at least 5 of those, maybe even 6, won't even be starting. We're missing so many players there, man. The fullbacks are going to be totally different. The wide players are going to be totally different. The goalkeeper's totally different. The striker's totally different. The midfield... It's all totally different. It's all totally different. That's just insane. It's insane how different that side is. And it goes to show how... I mean, Real Madrid are in the situation we were in last season, basically. Guess which player scores in every game at the Bernabeu in his City career? Is it Edin Dzeko? And is it, like, 1? Like the video, guys. It's free. That's the thing. We can't really rotate in the Palace game, can we? It's hard. We're going to... I think after Palace, though, it's Brentford in the League Cup where we will have probably mass rotation, even though it's like a quarter-final game. We're just going to have to suck it up, I think, and just trust the bench. And then we have West Ham after that, who are very bad this season, so hopefully a nice bit of rotation there as well. Oh. Let's just call last year the gas leak year. Is Mbappe fit? We do not know. Question marks. Oh, Nico G. Of course he's played there once and scored. That makes sense. Guys, quick to forget my masterclass versus Semenyo. We never forget, Nunes. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I think he was mixed defensively that day, to be honest. He was good when it was just a battle of pace. He was bad when Bellingham and Vinicius slowed the play down and manipulated him. That was the issue there. And of course, he offered nothing offensively. Not that he should be doing, but that was just a reality. Am I tripping for suggesting Nunes Nico double pivot? Yes. Yes, you are. In before it happens. No, we don't. He's not even registered for the Champions League squad. He's not even registered for the Champions League squad. Palace look a bit gassed, indeed. When's Roger coming back? We do not know. Unfortunately, we do not know when that is happening. We do not have the information on that. It's going to be an interesting game. We will be streaming it, of course we will. They still have, even if Mbappe doesn't play, they still have like game breakers in their team. And they have players who can still fist us on the counter. They still have Vinicius. You'd assume Rodrigo would start. They still have Bellingham. Tchouaméni's still a good player. And Courtois is, in my opinion, the best goalkeeper in the world. So it's still... And Rudiger always seems to have a good game against Haaland. So it's not a guarantee win. Absolutely it's not. And I don't think we should be viewing it like that either. But we can view it as a great opportunity. A great opportunity to win. He's not, as far as I'm aware, he's not registered. Never. He's gone. Who will play right back? Probably Nunes. Rodrigo back in 2 weeks. Oh, sorry, is that Rodrigo? I thought we were talking about Real Madrid Rodrigo. I do not know. I do not. Pep said very soon, hopefully. Yeah, they can do that. He has been good, yeah. I don't think it's a must-win. I think that a draw is acceptable. I'm not going to say I'm happy with a draw, given all the injuries that Madrid have and given the form that we are in. And given the fact I know that Celta Vigo will play very differently to us. But they did lose against Celta Vigo at home. And also Liverpool beat them quite easily. And that was at Anfield, but they've been a mess this season. So we have a great chance. There's no doubt we have a great chance. They only drew 1-1 against Girona thanks to a stupid penalty. There's a fantastic opportunity here for City. Unleash Cherki, says Glenn. If Mbappe doesn't start, Madrid might play better with a natural 9. That's been a debate this season, hasn't it? Yes. Yeah, Rudiger's annoying, isn't he? Start Rico Lewis, chill. How do you think we'll perform in the second half? Well, their press this season's been really weird also. Like, they commit lots of bodies forwards. But, like, sometimes, like, 5 at a time. But it's almost like they're going through the motions sometimes when it comes to their off-ball work. Again, against Celta Vigo. I'm using that example a lot because that's the game I watched most recently. They had loads of bodies up against their defenders and their goalkeeper. But Celta Vigo still played out really easily. And they didn't have to be especially fantastic. They just passed it forwards to move the press over to one side. Because they were so slow in getting out, it just took one switch and then they're through it. I think it depends on what Madrid side turn up. And it is a big game in the Champions League. So maybe it will be a side who actually cares and turns up. But I think there's lots of mentality concerns with lots of Madrid players this season. There's a reason why I know their fan base is also in free fall, but seemingly, especially right now. Exactly, yes. Exactly, Fenway. A draw's acceptable. A win is glorious. A loss is not acceptable. I'm not accepting a loss. I don't care if it's at the Burnabout, and I do not give a damn. We cannot be losing this game. That's unacceptable. Yeah, we haven't won in a while, I feel like. When was the last time we won? Like in the COVID year? When was the last time we won? Because we didn't win last year, obviously. We lost. Season before that, it was 3-3. Season before that, it was 1-1. Yeah, it was the COVID year, was it? Yeah. Crazy. Give me a Reinders and Foden midfield and we are winning by 5, says Handleship. Madrid's a penalty seeker. Past game, that's a must-win. Yeah, definitely, Puneet. Definitely, mate. I watched them versus Girona. They were awful. I don't know how Girona didn't put 4 past Mbappe, Bellingham, Vinny, all awful. We should win, says Cruel. When I told my friend we beat Sunderland, he was like, but they were on 10 men. Of course you won. Lad. Yeah, who's going to tell him? Okay, Naveen, chill, mate, chill. They lack cohesiveness. They do. They lack balance as well. But they still have that intangibility to them, don't they? I don't think that's ever going to go. Whatever iteration of it is, they're still going to have that. What's the head-to-head? It's quite even. I think now Madrid are slightly better, but I think before last season it was basically neck and neck. Let me have a little look. Man City, Real Madrid, head-to-head. Madrid have the advantage. Yeah, last season was before last season it was perfectly balanced, but we lost on both occasions last season. So yeah, we've won 4, drawn 4, lost 6 against Madrid. Which isn't a bad record. You know, considering it's Real Madrid, I don't think many teams have a record as close as that. We could easily turn that into 5-1, 4 drawn, 6 lost. Of course, the first encounter was back in 2012. I can't believe we bottled that bloody... The amount of times we bottled against these, man, is so annoying. We're bloody 2-1 up in that game as well, you know. Big up Kolarov and Dzeko. So annoying. Bernardo Masterclass, oh yeah. Big up that Varane, that was horror. Yeah, the Kev penalty, I do remember that. Madrid always turns up against us. Indeed, it's a big game for them. That's the other thing to know. We always approach these games from the POV of City, obviously. But you got to also bear in mind what the Madrid fans and players are thinking. They're sick of seeing us. They do not look at us as an easy match. They look at us as a very challenging match. There's no doubt about that. Madrid to the Bernabeu in the Champions League lives rent-free in my head. Any game is a must-win for City. No, because if you won every single game ever, then you're not even playing a sport at that point, are you? You just I don't even know what you're doing. That's a monopoly within a monopoly. That's monopolyception. Every game can't be must win, by definition. Now, Arsenal have a perfect record versus Madrid. Oh, do that? I didn't even realise that. It's a must win. This Madrid side is in total crisis. Nah. For the reasons we outlined. Again, you can't have a must win every single game. That's insane. Bring back right back Fernandinho. Jesus, please no. It's because I didn't start. True. Do you go watch City live? By the way, say my name as you respond. I'm not going to say it now because that was a demand and I didn't like that. But yes, I do go to the Etihad, yes. Could have won the 24 Champions League. I saw a couple of Vinicius chanting, "Oh, Kevin De Bruyne. What a boy. Absolute boy." We don't want to play against each other indeed. 21-man squad announced for the Madrid game. Winning every game is a must-win. Saves coming on FM. Yeah, there's got to be some level of reasonability, hasn't there? You literally can't win every single game by definition. There will be some games where you slip up, and it's fine to slip up every now and again. Like, these things happen. Football is a game over 90 minutes at the end of the day, and we know that anyone can beat anyone. Wigan beat the Centurions. It wasn't like City put out a particularly weak side that day. I know we're down to 10 men at half-time, but still. These things can happen. Do you see Alonso replacing Pep? Nah, I don't know if I do, to be honest. Right back, Foden did play a beautiful cross to assist Foden. Yeah, true. He made up for it, in fairness. He did make up for it. We'll be alive for another 25 or so minutes, because we like to make this around 90 minutes, so feel free to keep your thoughts coming in. Continually coming in, sorry. We've covered the Real Madrid game quite extensively there, but is there anything else that we would like to do? Bomber and Mbappe out for the game. Is that confirmed, though? Is that factual information, Zed Spring, or have I been lied to? Is that confirmation? Is that factual information? Or is that just the news that we had earlier where it was he's allegedly not playing? But has Jack Gorn confirmed he's out? Or is he just say he's not training? Because I've seen the not training bit. This is from Javier Herrera's. I've no idea if he's credible. This is from Madrid Universal. Mbappe will not play against City tomorrow. That's what I mean, yeah. I don't know if anyone's confirmed. I don't know if anyone of credibility has outright confirmed that Mbappe is not playing tomorrow. I've seen people say he's not in training. I've seen him be a doubt, but I don't think anyone of credibility has outright confirmed that he is definitely not playing tomorrow. I don't think that's a thing. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything absolutely confirmed on that. There we go. We'll see, of course. It could indeed change on a dime, as they say. That's the question, isn't it? Yeah, pay like rent. Pay like rent. And I should make that an emote, shouldn't I? Oh, speaking of that, I think that the more members you have, the more emotes you can make. Let me check right now. Because I think we've got a fair few more members since the last time I checked. In which case, we might have to do like a poll to see like what emotes would we like to see on the channel. I might need to look into that. How many more emojis can I add? If any. Oh! Wait, is that 13 more or 13 overall? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, I can add one more. I can add one more emote. And then I need another few members before I can add the next one. That's good to know, though. That's good to know. Cool, cool, cool. I do have someone that I go to make my emotes. They're a very talented artist, in my opinion. You finished your lab report in the space of 2 days and submitted it on time. Excellent work, Faisal. Excellent work. Have to capitalise. I hope we do. Pep is furious at Etcheverry will not approve a loan back to River Plate. Good. Good. A Shirky emote. Shirky emote. It could be that. I do want a like rent one as well, though. I need 3 more members to get 2 more. So maybe the next one can be a like rent one and the one after can be a Shirky one. If Mbappe isn't playing, I expect 3 points. My cat told me he's not playing. There's the confirmation need. Thanks. Love that from you, Jack. Apparently Mbappe heard I was playing. Yeah, he's scared. He's scared. Yeah? That's crazy. I'll have another look at these reports, but I'm not seeing anything which is absolutely confirmed. Will there be an Etcheverry emote? I don't think that Etcheverry has a future at this football club, in all honesty, and I basically thought that as soon as we brought in Shirky. Maybe that is doom and gloom, but I do not really see where he fits in this squad. In a squad which is already bloated beyond belief. We already have too many players. We already have a great attack. Where is Etcheverry going in this side? Now we have Shirky. I don't think he goes anywhere apart from away from the club, which is a shame. That's okay. I'm going to say, I say Tawana. That's what I would say. That would be my guess as to what your name is. Go to a place that can't stay fit. There needs to be a clear out, doesn't there? Isn't Etcheverry for the future in like 5 years' time? But there's got to be some game time to be had in that time span, hasn't there? Because if you look at his competition really is Shirky. His competition isn't really Foden, because we know Foden can play deeper. Realistically, in this setup anyway, unless we change setup, Etcheverry's actual competition is Shirky, it's Marmoush, it's Doku. Perhaps Savio. That's the way that you'd probably get him into the side. And all of those players I've named outside of Marmoush are not old. Even Marmoush isn't old. In 5 years, I suppose he would be. Like, he'd be in his 30s or whatever. I just don't see where he fits in that time. That's all. That's the way I'm viewing it. And if we bring in Semenyo or another wide player, as lots of people want us to bring in a winger, where does he go then? I just don't see how he fits, where he fits, if he fits. I think I butchered that, but you know what I mean. Etcheverry could be a great backup to Shirky, then move him on to another club once he's established some transfer value. Yeah, just don't know if there's a long-term future for him, unfortunately, which is a shame. It's a shame because Shirky's only young himself. He's only 21. He's only 22 himself. And that would be where he would play. What comes first, Etcheverry, the Hayes analysis video? Don't know what's happening with Hayes. I'd like to do the analysis video when he's actually going to be playing for us. I don't know if that's going to be next year, though. Wows me, Balotelli. Big up to Mario. Everyone next cheering for City tomorrow. Good. Want everyone on our side. Everyone on our side. Only chance of winning tomorrow is a Don masterclass. He thrives in these European nights. May I ask, what's... I'm not turning this into a Donnarumma slander video, but may I ask, what is that based on? Because lots of people do... And this isn't like me just like having a go at Monster Rip 1198 here. Lots of people say this. But what's this based on? Because outside of last season... That... I don't... What... The opposite's been the case. The last 10 years. Okay, right. Okay. So last year. Okay, good. But what happened the year before? What was the big European night he turned up to the year before last? Was it against Dortmund where he came out horrendously for a corner and then got his team knocked out in the semi-final? Was it the year before that, where he made a horrendous save from a Bayern Munich shot and got his team knocked out? Was it the season before that, where he made a horrendous error against Real Madrid and got his team knocked out? I'm not disputing that Donnarumma can be a fantastic shot stopper, but I'm disagree. I don't get where this comes from outside of last season, where even last season he was horrendous against Liverpool. He was very good against Arsenal, Villa, and the second leg of Liverpool last season. But I don't get where the idea comes from that he's a mastermind on big European nights, because I would argue that based on his PSG career, it's the opposite. Whenever there's been a big European night for PSG, outside of last season, he's basically the reason why his team have lost. I didn't even want to bring this up, but I can't ignore it. And this person's even said the last 10 years, what? Okay, challenge me then. I need to be corrected then. Challenge me. What were the big European nights that he turned up on outside of last season? I'm willing to listen, but based off my viewing of his, this is something that I touched in the analysis video. What are the other games outside of last season? It's a genuine open forum and a genuine question. Every other knockout game, i.e. the big ones, he was the reason his side got knocked out. And of course, last season, in the latter stages, as Fenway says, beautiful moments in the second leg against Liverpool in the penalty shootout. Beautiful moments against Aston Villa. Beautiful moments against Arsenal. There's no denying that. From starting from March of last season, beautiful. But when were these other ones? Damn you, Olive. Damn you. Open forum. Interesting. I'm totally happy to be proven, but the other way. Apparently, Hayes is doing well at Girona. I've heard mixed things about his time at Girona. I will be having a proper, and I've only tuned in a couple of times to Hayes. I will be having a proper look when it comes to ultimately scouting his time there. I've heard some very mixed reception from Hayes. It sounds like there are some games where he's playing really well, like against Real Madrid, he apparently was fantastic. But then there's other moments where he makes naive, silly errors, which does make sense because he's a very young centre-back. Maybe that's all it is, Musty. Maybe he started bad, but now he's playing better. Makes total sense for a young centre-back. There's no doubt about it. I do wonder, again, having spoken with people who have watched more of him than I have, how old is he? How old is he? He's young. He's 19 years old, so he's going to be 20. He's going to be 20 years old, isn't he? Next season. He's a very young centre-back. So these moments are going to happen. Is next season going to be too much for him too soon? I think it probably is, and this is a conversation I've had with people in the streams, in the Discords, on Twitter and that sort of thing, in DMs. And let's say, for argument's sake, that Ake and Stones next season aren't here. Stones leaves next season because His contract is up and he's injured. And I think I did remember that, Austin. Yeah, I think you're right. I think the reason why I remembered it that one time was because I was trying to see whether he'd become homegrown, and sadly he wouldn't become homegrown. Yes, Stone's leaving because he's injured and we can't extend his contract. He must be on a lot of money. And then Ake, he wants to go in January. He may well end up leaving in Jan. His contract doesn't expire until next year, but he wants to play football, and we can't be giving him that because he's not really good enough to be starting for City anymore, of course. So if we have next season and we have 3 centre-backs, we have Joško, Diaz, and Kusanov. But we're saying that Hayes, and we can throw Bar into this as well. Bar might just not make it ultimately, but let's say that Hayes is high, and well, I know that Hayes is very highly regarded by the club. But if we're saying that next season is too soon for him, then what do we do? What do we actually do? Because if we're saying that, okay, send Hayes out on another loan, I think that would be the best call to do. You're then only left with 3 senior centre-backs if you're saying that Stones and Ake go. If you bring in, and I don't know how real the link is, but we chat about it on LNobbins, let's say you bring in Gahey to be another squad player, but then where's the pathway for Hayes to then play after that second loan? I think it's quite tricky. I don't think there's a correct answer here. Because if you bring in Gahey, who can be a good squad player, but Gahey's not old, he's 25 years old. Even if you can bring in someone of his ilk. And then you Hayes next year, okay, but now you've got 5, and Diaz is only going to be 30 years old by that point, and he's going to be the oldest of those centre-backs. He's not going to be ready to be moved on either. I don't know what the answer is there. I don't know what the answer is. It does feel like if you sign it feels like if you sign Gahey also, I think we can throw Kusanov into that as well, because if you sign Gahey, Kusanov goes from 3rd choice to 4th choice. And you would arguably want him to be more of a 3rd choice player back at that point if you want him to have a future at the club. I don't know what the answer is. I do not know what the answer is. It's a tricky one. It is a tricky one. We're not in a toxic relationship, but I did ask a question. People said that he's been turning up in big games in the Champions League or whatever his whole PSG career. Outside of last season, I'm denying that. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I asked for the games. If people want to give me them, that's fine. Vitinha linked to City, we can only dream. Oh, Vitinha, what a lovely player he is. What a lovely player he is. You know what, Hydro? That's fair play. That is fair play. I accept that, man. I accept that. Yeah, we don't talk. We don't talk about the league phase last season. We don't talk about that. There's a case that with him turning 26 last season, success for Don could be seen as growing into the. Hey, that's a totally different conversation. That is something I said in my analysis video. He's still got his best years ahead of him. But the comment wasn't, he could become that guy. The comment was, he has been that guy every single time in the Champions League. That is what is in contention here. That is what is being disputed. I can't predict the future. I'm willing to accept that over the next 5 years, he is that guy every single time. But that's not what was said. That's not what I'm challenging. You get me? Yeah, that's crazy from me. I've got problems, honestly. For real, for real. When do you expect Hayes to become a starter, at least in that main group? Oh, well, this is the trick. This is the tricky thing, isn't it? It's probably too soon for him to be thrown into City next season. Ideally, you'd want to do like a Saliba thing, where you send him out on loan for 2 years. So maybe next year, so this year he's on loan with Girona. So we know that Girona play like possession-based football. So this is really increasing his, and just like game he used to playing in a high possession side. What we would like now is, what I would like now is him to go to either Ligue 1 or the Premier League in a far more physically demanding league. So now he's getting the best of both worlds. He's getting like the technical education, if you will, from Spain, and perhaps he can get the more physical education in France or in England to like bulk him up a little bit and just get him more robust and used to like Premier League centre forwards, for example, because there is a massive difference between Premier League centre forwards. Well, at the Championship, I'd like it to be top flight, to be honest. I'd rather it be like a mid-table Premier League side than a Championship side, or I'd even prefer Liga at that point. I'd rather it be top flight at opposition. I'd rather it be top flight opposition. So in answer to your question, explicitly, I don't know. Unfortunately, that's a cop-out answer. But sadly, the timings don't really work. I don't think Ake can be convinced to stay another season. But what would be ideal is if next season, if Ake can somehow be convinced to stay, your 4 centre-backs become Diaz and Gvardiol first and second choice, and then Kusanov now is promoted to third choice, and Ake can be like your first choice left centre-back, but just like fourth choice generally. Now, it's fine for Ake to be your fourth choice centre-back, because he can still be like a decent player, that sort of thing. And then when Ake's contract expires, Hayes will have had 2 years out on loan. Now, it's a bit healthier, and the timeline matches a bit more. I don't know how realistic that is, though. That's what I mean, ultimately. I don't think he can be convinced to be fourth choice. He might even leave this. He might leave in Jan. It may well be that early. So I do not know what the answer is, sadly. Hayes to the Championship might be good to get more acclimated to England and learning more English. I'm greedy. I want a mid-table or lower Premier League sides. I was basing this on last season. There was a good 3 to 4 games. Yeah, but that's last season. What about the Champions League the season before that, and the season before that, and the season before that? There's far more evidence of him not being good on big Champions League nights than the reverse. I'm not for 1 second saying that that's going to be the recurring trend from now on, but all I am doing is pushing back on this notion that he's a guaranteed lock-in. He's the man made for the big Champions League nights. Precedent doesn't tell us that's the case. The future is different, and I can't predict the future. I am at the mercy of Nostradamus, you know? Yeah, we've spoken at length about that, Paddy, absolutely. Gahey puts an end to the Hayes project. Arguably puts an end to the Kusanov project also. Gahey will get guaranteed starting time. Yeah, this is something which I chatted about with LB. Like, if it's a choice of one or the other, Liverpool's far more attractive to him. Definitely. Is Manu definitely joining Inter next summer? Well, he's definitely not got a City career, has he? Surely. Surely not. Akanji definitely gone? I think so, Bicycle. I think so. Do I think Pep will play Kusanov against Real Madrid? I don't think. I'd be very surprised if he did. I don't ever want to see Gvardiol left back again. He can do that. He still can offer so much going forwards. But yeah, there's no doubt he's better at defensively at centre-back. But he's so good going forwards. I love him. I love him there. That comment about his future doesn't feel... Damn it, damn you, Fenway. I've been exposed again. What the hell? What the hell is going on? Is Semenyo really a City-type player? Hey, shameless plug. I've just done a scout report and data analysis video on Semenyo. If you would like to join the channel as a member, just as Punctured Bicycle has, you can see my in-depth thoughts using exclusive data. We'll be going into that in a bit more detail. If we end up signing him, there will be a proper video for all to see. Oh, look at that. He's already plugged it. What a boy. Look at that. He becomes a member and a plug of the channel already, and that's why you're a goat, honestly. This World Cup is making Ake want to leave. I don't think you're wrong there, Musty. Absolutely, yes. Fern Bernardo can sink Real Madrid for us. I hope so. Salary interview is crazy, man. It's crazy. I will say I don't know the full ins and outs of it. No, not exclusive data from FootMob, exclusive data from Y-Scout. I'll have you know. And other avenues. I'll have you know, sir. There's some publicly accessible data. There's some exclusive data. Yeah, the salary interview is crazy, of course. I don't know what's happened behind the scenes for him to come out and say that. That's a bit insane. I'm sure something else must have happened. Unless I'm missing something, he's just been benched for the past couple of games, hasn't he? I don't think like Slot's come out and said he's shit or whatever. So I don't think I'm very well educated on the topic to properly comment on it. And the whole Carragher rant thing, that's a separate point related to the club perspective, I think. Am I against a cheeky Salah and Jan? Yes, mate. I don't want Salah. No, you got to support the channel if you want that information, Theo, and I'll have you know. What do you think about Marmoush in the 10 in the more physical games? I don't like Marmoush in the 10 because he isn't a 10. You can't do that. It does, yeah. It prints out your pro, and you get a random footballer. Punch a bicycle. Yours was Mascherano. Yours is Mascherano, matey. Does the Shirky hype become unstoppable? He deserves all the hype. He deserves all of it. Yes. This is a hype where I'm getting behind the fan base in terms of this hype. I wasn't behind the fan base with the Echeverry hype. I'm not behind the fan base with the Kusanov overhype. I think the Shirky stuff is justified, in fairness. No watch along today because all the games look shit. In all honesty, can't lie, won't lie. All the games look shit. But there will be a Twitch stream tonight at 8 o'clock. And I guess maybe I can pop the Inter-Liverpool game on in the background, but all the games are shit, so I'm not going to be paying really much attention to any of those games. So I'm going to be streaming Football Manager instead. Cork City is more interesting. Click that link. Come follow the Twitch. It is free fun. And I'll pop Liverpool Inter in the background, but that's a shit game. Liverpool are a shit side and Inter or whatever. That's not going to be an interesting game in my opinion. Even if it's like 5-4, I'm like, whatever. Okay, Musty, chill. Chill. Hey! Thank you so much. On something activist. Thank you so much for following, mate. Big up to you for following the Twitch. What do you think of Pep's negging approach to coaching Shirky? I don't hate it. I think that it's fine to keep him grounded. I don't think there's a problem there. I think many people have read too much into it. We know that Pep does this. He likes to throw in cheeky criticisms when a player's on a high. It's better to do that than when a player's been stinky, because he doesn't view it as like helpful. Whereas if the player's in a positive mindset, they're more likely to take on the information in a better way. So I don't have an issue with it, TBH. I think he also has a little bit of a point as well. Like, the Rabona is nice, but I think Pep's point is that at the end of the day, like, just do the basics well, and then you'll be fine. So I don't have a problem with it, to be fair. And we did explore in my post-match analysis video, there were some moments where Shirky did overcomplicate it, and he could have had another assist. He could have played a Marmoush a couple of times, and he opted not to. So maybe that's what he was referring to. I think it's fine. I don't have an issue with it. Arc Raiders now. We're doing Football Manager, matey. I won't be watching a thrilling counter. No, I will not, unfortunately, Naveen. What time's the stream? 8 p.m. tonight. 8 p.m. tonight. Or should we do 7, actually? I can do either or. I might do 7, actually. I changed my mind. It depends. If the analysis video is done before, then it'll be 7. If not, then 8. But if you follow, have your notifications on, then you'll know. It'll be this evening, though, regardless. Has to criticize with the clean and grounded. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's reasonable. I just joined. How is it looking for us to win? Just looking decent. It's looking decent. We have a good chance. We have a good chance. Yeah, and I think it's certainly at least one. Definitely. Thankfully, well, he's now my backup goalkeeper. But I do have a 16-year-old in goal, and I've got a 16-year-old at like right wing, I think. I've got many children in my team. So that's a thing. But we'll be live for like 2 hours. We're always live for like 2 hours anyway, so it'll either be 7 through to 9 or 8 through to 10, whichever it is. And you can always watch the VOD if you so desire. Never name for the kids. All I'm trying to do is avoid relegation, in fairness. Game was well in hand. Would have been really nice to see Marmoush with a prime scoring opportunity. Yeah, that's what I mean. It would have been great. Though, like, because Marmoush was properly pissed when Shirky didn't play it into him the second time. Like, he was like that. Like, he was really upset with him. And I can understand why, because he hasn't scored a league goal all season, and he would have been 1-on-1. And it would have been a great opportunity for him. Olive, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, but I shouldn't be 2 points off top. The board expectations are to just not get relegated, yeah? I'm sorry, Jack, that South Park game was so ass. I could not believe how shit that second South Park game was. Unbelievable. The first game was really fun. Second game, booty cheeks, man. I've never... Jesus, I think that's the worst game I've ever played on stream. I'll be so honest. That was horror. Anyway. Right, guys, we've been live for around 90 minutes, so we're going to wrap it up there. Make sure to leave a like on the video as you are leaving the stream. If you want to go the extra mile, hey, you can become a member of the channel, just like Bicycle has. Big up to him. If you want exclusive videos and an ad-free viewing experience, then the Patreon is for you. If you're more of an offline viewer, the link for that is there. If you are someone who wants to support, but you want something physical in return, whether that's a Pep Guardiola canvas, a Blue Moon canvas, or some lovely exclusive Nobbins shirts, hoodies, LNobbins.com for some exclusive, unique merchandise. The link is there. You can't buy me, but you can buy a shirt with my logo on it, and all proceeds obviously support your boy. So that's a great way to support me if you also want something physical in return. There's the merch, absolutely, worldwide shipping. It's a great time. I think the designs are very good. I've been informed by people who have bought the shirts that the quality is genuinely, properly premium. So that is a thing as well. Don't know why the Hall of Shame isn't working. That's annoying. I'll look into that. It should be working, otherwise it's not. Thank you very much for watching. Oh, sorry, before we go, I need to do my members thing, don't I? Why wouldn't the Hall of Shame be working? Why wouldn't that be working? Why is technology so temperamental, guys? Why is technology so temperamental? Don't go anywhere. You all need to help me, yes? Where is it? Am I connected on the YouTube? I am. I don't know why it's not working then. It should just be working. Like it's there. I can clearly see it. It's right there. Hall of Shame. Why aren't you working, sir? Oh. Hello? It's working for me. I don't know why it's not working for you guys. That's weird. But there we go. Big up to all my beautiful supporters. Big up to them all. It's the one I did, I think. Or is it not? Is it just all lowercase? It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't be case sensitive, and yet here we are. Is it all lowercase then? This is so stupid. Right, no one else do it. I'm gonna do it all lowercase. Right, it works when I do it, but not anyone else. Why would that be? Huh. I don't know why. I don't know why that's a thing. Anyway, that's something for me to explore. Thank you guys very much. I've clicked end. Oh, no, it did work. I'm so confused. Goodbye, guys.